The U.S. Coast Guard and Royal Navy rescued a woman and her 2 children from a capsized vessel off Puerto Rico. A British man was found dead in the boat. Story highlights authorities said at least 30 people have been killed in the Caribbean by Hurricane Maria. Tens of thousands are without power in the Dominican Republic in the wake of the hurricane. Puerto Rican emergency officials said 100% of the island is without power. Damage is massive and more than a dozen people died on the island of Dominica, the Prime Minister announced. As Major Hurricane Maria swept into the Turks and Caicos on Friday, officials in island nations already devastated by the storm announced more deaths amid the widespread destruction. In Puerto Rico, where the death toll is expected to continue to rise, Governor Ricardo Rossello said at least 13 people have died on the island or in nearby waters due to the hurricane. He told the Weather Channel they were attempting to reach the most remote areas of the island by helicopter, as travel has been crippled by debris and down power lines on Puerto Rico's roads. The storm has contributed to at least 30 deaths, including 15 from the obliterated Caribbean island of Dominica, Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett announced Thursday. Get the latest on Maria's track. Scarrett addressed his nation from Antigua Thursday afternoon, saying the storm was brutal to the Caribbean island. He confirmed 15 deaths, a toll that's likely to rise as word comes from isolated villages in the country, with at least 20 more missing. At least 2 deaths were reported in Puerto Rico, including a man who died off the coast of the island Wednesday after a boat capsized near Vieques, the U.S. Coast Guard reported. In a search and rescue effort by the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Navy and British Royal Navy, a woman and 2 children also on the boat were rescued. The rescue came after a distress call was received from the vessel, stating they were disabled and adrift in 20-foot seas and 120 miles per hour winds. The Coast Guard said it lost contact with the vessel because of the weather. The Coast Guard also said they were unable to retrieve the man's body from the capsized vessel. Dominican Republic. Tens of thousands were left without power in the Dominican Republic as the deadly storm swamped the country with torrential rainfall. In the South Zone, there are 4 circuits out of service, and about 40,613 customers, or 30% of the population. Dominican Corporation of State Electrical Companies, CDE, Emergency Operations Center Representative Ernesto Perez told DominicanToday.com. He added that 45 of the East Region's 204 circuits were affected, which amounts to 100,000 customers. A down power line between the towns of Playa Dorada and Cabaret has left the country's entire north coast without power. The local Emergency Operations Center, COE, said 9,990 people were evacuated from their homes and most of the country was placed under flash flood and landslide warning, reports DominicanToday.com. Puerto Rico residents of Puerto Rico woke Thursday to massive destruction in the wake of the hurricane and a new reality, one without electricity, water and, for many, a home to return to once roads cluttered with debris and power lines are cleared. The storm smashed into the U.S. territory Wednesday morning as a Category 4 hurricane, twisting metal, snapping trees and utility poles and effectively paralyzing the island. Months and months and months and months are going to pass before we can recover from this, Felix Delgado, mayor of the northern coastal city of Gatano, told the Associated Press. On Thursday, the National Guard rescued dozens of families from rooftops in flooded Levittown, east of San Juan. The extent of the damage is still unknown given that dozens of municipalities remained isolated and without communication, the AP reported. On Thursday, President Donald Trump issued a disaster declaration for the territory that is home to 3.4 million people, making federal funding available to Puerto Ricans affected by the storm. The director of the State Agency for Emergency Management and Disaster Management, Abner Gomez, said that 100% of the subscribers of the island's electric energy authority are affected, Primera Hora reported. When we can get outside, we will find our island destroyed, Gomez said. The information we received is not encouraging. It's a system that has destroyed everything it has had in its wake. There are also reports of widespread damage on St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, the VI Consortium said, and many are pleading for help in compromised buildings. Major flooding is being reported on St. Thomas. In San Juan, Metal roofs flew off buildings and windows broke even before Hurricane Maria made landfall as a Category 4 storm on the island's southeastern coast early Wednesday morning. No generation has seen a hurricane like this since San Felipe II in 1928, Puerto Rico.